Here we are, episode 170 of the Three Splinters podcasts with myself, Brian Sedgley of Sedge's Tool, and Ronnie
Ronnie.
Fulton of Ronnie's Ram House. Those are all of our
And
new OnlyFans page names.
his new Dashel
Got new
Mine's,
dad.
I guess mine would be bent over
bent over.
or
And
get
remember
bent.
when we were
One
going
of
to
those.
start Sedge's bent tool?
We need to.
Yeah.
Sedge's Bent Tool would be a hit. That's going to be the name of this episode. Sedge's Bent Tool. I don't think we've ever named an episode Sedge's Bent Tool.
No, I don't think we have.
Not today. Welcome to episode 170, titled Sedge's Bent Tool. We do, gentlemen, have a new patron.
Oh,
We would like to invite. Jeez,
Invite.
look at me.
Invite
It's
him
like I
to
haven't
join
done
twice.
this in a week. We we would like to welcome Mr. Robert Ortiz,
all right.
our newest
Robert
patron.
Ortiz. Do you
Hold on,
is that David Ortiz's brother, Big Poppy's brother?
Probably.
Oh, welcome, Robert Ortiz.
Welcome,
Now
Robert
let's
Ortiz.
look at. Wow, you guys want to hear something? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Since November, we have had 10 cancellations. But we've gained more than that. That's pretty common.
Wow.
Or they cancel their membership because they signed up for a year and then they cancel it to make sure that they don't get charged. And then they still have access for a really long time. Don't do that,
Yeah.
everybody, because then you miss out on all the fun stuff.
Yeah, you're talking
Wow.
gibberish. Nobody cancels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody
well,
does that.
Yeah. Let me talk about the giveaway real quick. This month, this is technically the last episode that comes out in the month of January. And our giveaway sponsor this month is Sedge America.
Nice.
And they're giving away 2 sets of slides. And a set is a box of 6. And you will have your opportunity to select from 15, 18, or 21 inch, I believe. Open to the continental United States only. Sorry if you're not there, but we don't make the rules. We just enforce them. So if I draw your name and you win, and I'm like, wait a minute, you don't live in the continental US, and I'm just going to draw somebody else, and you're going to be really upset. Speaking of being really upset, SplinterCon, baby.
Yeah, baby.
So I haven't given you guys an update on how many tickets we have sold.
Last time I heard it was 23.
Okay.
That's about as far as up my brain goes.
Yeah.
We sold our 27th
Holy
Whoa.
crap.
today. Of those 27, I want to say 7, possibly 8 are couples tickets.
Nice.
But for the listener, if you are just listening to this podcast for the very first time, we have a yearly meetup that is open only to patrons. And we just started ticket sales since last week, like
Yeah.
Thursday, I think, or Friday. And we
Limited
have
sales.
already sold over half of the tickets because we are only offering 50 tickets. So if you're listening to this, even if you're not a new patron and you are considering going to this event, and the dates that we put out, which is help me out here,
September
20
25th, 26th, and 27th and 28th
correct.
of 2025. Thursday, Friday,
2025.
Saturday, and checking out and heading out Sunday.
Yes. If that lines up with your schedule and you're thinking about coming, I highly encourage you
Do it.
to buy a ticket because I would assume that I'm going to call it and I'm going to say by mid-February that all the tickets are gone.
Yeah.
That sounds like it.
I will also tell you that the prices of the tickets will increase the closer we get to the event. So if you guys want to get a ticket, I strongly encourage you to do so.
I know everybody who's listening, this is January. And we basically started for last year in 2024, we started in February. And we had so much planning that went on. And I truly believe it was flawless because of all the planning and all the recon we did. And because we got so many people to for giveaways. Everybody walked away with something splendid.
Yeah.
Multiple things.
Yes, it was awesome. Yeah, and some people I've already started talking to some of those people already, and they're like, "Yeah, what do you guys need?"
Yeah, that's
So
Yeah.
awesome.
I'm pretty stoked on that.
Yeah, Jason and I were talking about that. The benefit now is that it's not us talking to the sponsors as concept. They've seen it now and they've seen the success of it. They've seen the quality of people that come to the event,
Hmm.
and everybody's on board now because we're not selling them on a concept.
Right. Well, here's just to get people a little bit excited. Just to be clear, we do not have, there's certain things that we pretty much have ironed out. But obviously, this year it's going to be bigger and better. Obviously, this year we did charge for tickets. We weren't trying to gouge anybody. And to be very clear, we are absolutely not looking to make a profit on
Mm-mm.
this event. And I can tell you, even with the ticket sales, we most certainly will not.
Hmm.
And the reason for that is because we want to make it bigger and better for all of you. We did extend it a day based on feedback we got from the last one. We do plan to have a more private setting for the welcome reception next year, also based on feedback. We are looking to do some sort of group function, and we'll probably do some sort of instructional stuff, and hopefully, we might even have some brands there this time. So, it's going to be a great event. If you want to know more about it, reach out to anybody that went because they will tell you. Just go in the Discord and ask in there, hey, I'm thinking about going. What are your guys' thoughts? And everybody will share their thoughts and opinions. And then also, and this we can go ahead and not talk about it anymore after this, but me, Ronnie, and Sedge are actually meeting up in a couple of weeks to really start narrowing down some of the details. And all I will say is, for those of you that went and you thought the last one was good, we had half the amount of time to plan for it
Hmm.
and zero experience
Hmm.
and zero knowledge on how one of these things was going to go. Now we have double the amount of time. We have the knowledge and experience, and we're already familiar with the area.
And we have a
So,
survey. We have the survey results also from everybody who
yeah.
attended.
Hmm.
Oh, God, I can't wait. This one is going to be great. And
Yeah.
if this one sells out, which I anticipate it will, I think we may be finding a new location going into 2026.
Hmm.
But that's all the admin stuff. You want to become a patron? Go to
Yeah, do it. Do it.
patreon.com/Three Splinters Podcast and become a patron. So that's it. Sedge, what have you been up to?
Nothing.
Ronnie.
I'm good.
So, last week I mentioned I was to buy a good brand again of a laser, so I got my Stabila laser level in, and it's a green laser. It's pretty cool because my old one was red, and I finished up a video I was working on digital electronic equipment in the woodworker shop.
Hmm.
So I've been working on that, and ever since I finished up the miter saw stand, Marianne's been looking at me. Hey, so I'm going to start another build series probably in a couple of weeks, I think.
For
Once
something
I
at the house?
iron out, yeah, something at the house for Marianne.
You can't share what the possible project
Yeah,
is?
it's so, you know how we were talking, you guys were talking last week about buying something at IKEA,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes it's, not worth it. So I don't think I don't remember if I mentioned Marianne's got a new computer screen over the holidays, and she's got that little library I built out for her in the corner, back corner of the house. And she just goes, listen, I want this desk, and it's basically an L desk. And she goes, I've been looking at prices, and she goes, I know you can build it, but I want it now. I go, okay, well, I just whatever, honey, I'll assemble it for you. And they were like 150 tops. One was 200. It was a steel base with white tops. And every time she ordered one, it said it was a 3 months out,
Oh
4
gosh.
months out. And it was like, and then all of a sudden, oh, not in stock, and it was just really weird. And this was on Amazon. So she finally looked at me. She went, "I know I hurt your feelings," and I go, "No, you didn't hurt my feelings, honey. I was, I would have assembled that." And she goes, "No, no, no, I hurt your feelings. You want to build it?" I went, "Yes." So I'm kind of designing it and trying to figure it out. So I'm going to do a cardboard mock-up probably in the next couple of weeks for her, just so she can see it. And it's just going to be really simple. And then eventually I'm going to build out some cabinetry underneath, a couple drawer banks for files and stuff like that. But it's just going to be simple. A top on base structure, but it'll be kind of fun. And then also this summer, I'm going to be building something for Chris and Emily over at their house, a big, big built-in.
Oh, cool.
So that'll be fun. And I said, listen, I'll do it. It's a fireplace surround with bookcases on either side and some
Okay.
crown and the two bookcases on either. It'll be fun. And
Yeah.
I said, listen, I go, Chris, it's just materials. And you just got to tell Em, she's got to be patient. That's all,
Hmm.
Does he listen to
because
this podcast?
no, she doesn't either. Why?
I was just thinking that's like such a great idea. And every time I have like an idea for like a piece of furniture that I want to build, but I'm not going to put it in the house, maybe it'd be cool to like make something as like it's not a housewarming. They've been there for a while,
Mm.
but it could just go to him.
Well, there's something, there's, I'm very
Or you guys,
cautious of what I say about them because there's a lot of great things happening in their life, and he doesn't want me to say anything publicly
right.
about it. So I'm just, they're just one of the most wonderful couples, and they're so sweet because they're so freaking in love, and it's so nice. So it's pretty cool. So we're gonna take a good part of the summer and do. You know how long it took me to do the goddamn miter saw station, right? Okay, we're gonna take our time with it and create a ton of content, and it's just gonna be fun. And the other thing too is a lot of people have been reaching out and saying, "Hey, Sid, you're gonna go through each drawer, and show how you cut all the kaizen." And I went, "No, I'm gonna
That's
do some."
future. That's a future video.
Well, no, I'm gonna do 2 or 3 videos for Kaizen Source, and because I got the Kaizen foam on the way, the dimensions, and he said instead of me sending you the basic foam, what's your dimensions, and I'll custom cut each drawer. So I said, okay, that'd be great, and that's what I've been working on. I'm just waiting for that, and just developing and designing Marianne's desk. So it's gonna be a lot of fun working on videos. That's what I've been up to
So you're doing a built-in.
for Chris and Emily this summer sometime.
You know what, Sedge? You know how we've been talking for a really long time on how to feature each other on each other's channels?
Yep.
That might be a fun project where I could come and
You want
help
to do a
too,
col-
just to make.
well, we do it out of both shops and do a collaboration, and then when we do the fireplace surround, we work together on it,
That might be
and then we
fun.
get
Yeah,
then we get
because
a then we get a couple helpers known as the Fultons. They can come up and lug shit for us,
Oh,
yeah,
that would be
because
so awesome. Yes.
and then
ideally,
we could put videos on the Three Splinters Patreon account.
there you go. Because ideally, you do as much as you can in the shop, and then install day maybe is just one day. If you
Yep.
think it out
Right.
right, it's just you're just putting it in and doing the crown on install day.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, I was thinking about the crown. I just do crown caps. Just go, wait a minute, install.
yeah, yeah.
You
Pre-made. I
know,
love to have them pre-made. You don't have to worry about it.
absolutely.
Yeah,
That would
it's
be
just
really
fun.
fun to come up with a really cool idea for that, Sedge. And that like how we can make it to where we all and I'm not saying this to like take away
Dude,
anything. I
dude,
just
I
think that
just,
that would be really fun, you know?
dude,
The
it
three
would
of
be
us could finally work on
awesome.
a project
It's just
together.
sometimes I know like the way I work and the way I have to work because I just have weekends,
Hmm.
Mhm.
and sometimes
Yeah.
that's only Saturday because Sunday we're shooting, and then I am not complaining, but I have to do all these other things on the weekend too.
Yeah.
I gotta mow a couple of lawns in the summertime. I gotta do this, and I love it.
That's what I'm saying.
But
Like
I
I think it could be cool because let's say that one Saturday I came up. I'm not saying I, end up being there every single time, but let's say I did come up on a Saturday and maybe we got twice as much done because
Yep.
two people are working,
Yep. No,
That'd be fun.
absolutely. I'd be all into that for sure. And there's so much happening with people I'm working with, um, and they're coming to visit and bringing me some stuff and some prototype stuff to work with. I'm just excited. And at work, I am actually balls to the wall getting ready for this 100-year anniversary. We got all the influencers coming in, you guys. And then we have a day out, to recalibrate, and then we have a big to do. All our festival employees of North America, Canada, US will be in town, and the family's going to be over here, and we have a big to do, big dinner at night, festival employees only. It's going to be wonderful. A lot of speeches going on, a lot of stuff, and so that's going to be that's Thursday, and just a lot of other stuff. So not next week, but the week after, it is balls to the wall. It's gonna be a lot. It's a lot of work. I have no time. It's like, it's all day Monday setup, all day Tuesday. You guys all come in, and then I got to stay late, probably till Wednesday morning, 1 or 2 in the morning, cleaning up, and then recalibrating on Wednesday. So I won't be able to see anybody. I'll probably see you guys at the event. Say, hey, how you doing? What's up? Nice
That
seeing you.
that event will actually be a really good opportunity for us to get another group photo.
Oh,
We need a good one.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm excited. That's what I've been up to. I just got I told you about all the old Festo tools I've been cleaning up, and
Mhm.
I'm building up displays to show them because we're going to be featuring those at the events.
That's
I mean,
cool.
the chain mortiser, the chainsaw, 13-inch handheld planer, big ass auger drill. Today I cleaned up the chain mortiser. It was pretty cool.
That's cool.
And what else? Yeah. Oh, portable bandsaw. Yeah. Wait, you guys pick this up. It ain't portable. I'm
Mhm.
actually gonna bring a scale in tomorrow so I can weigh it. Freaking A, man.
I've seen
It
that.
must be
It's cool.
150. Must be 150 pounds. It's
Wow.
Well, I mean,
crazy.
back in the day, men.
Yeah,
Sedge.
that's when Sven was a power lifter.
Yeah.
Okay, who's next? Jason, what have you been up to?
Golf, baby.
Oh, that's right.
Golly, what an awesome trip. I just want to publicly say here, as much as it pains me, I had a wonderful time with a Marine. A
Mm.
wonderful time. And I don't mean that sexually. No, Mr. Rick Bino, he is forever my golf trip buddy. And he brought his two son-in-laws, which were both phenomenal. We just had a great time. It was awesome. Got off the plane, went straight to the house, got our stuff, went to the golf course, played golf, had dinner. Next day, rinse and repeat. Next day, rinse and repeat. And then we played 5 great golf courses over 5 days. But one of them, I'm actually glad I did. I did something stupid, but I'm glad I did it. We ended up, I ended up booking courses that were like $200 tee time or $200 green fees or less, which is pretty common and easy to hit in Scottsdale, Arizona in January. And two of the guys, Rick and one of his son-in-laws, who was still going to be there, I was playing golf with my brother-in-law on Saturday, and they ended up booking at this like the top public golf course ranked by Golf Digest last year. It's like out of the top 10 best golf courses in Arizona, it's number 8, and it's the only one of the 10 that is public. Everything else
Wow.
was private. So we went and played there. It cost $440.
Wow.
Yeah. And while it was a nice course, it was called Quintero, and I heard about it before, but wasn't what I expected. And I don't feel like that course was 2 times better than we all agreed. Our favorite course that we played was Camelback Mountain, which is a older course, and it was $160, $170, whatever we paid. It was wonderful.
So you didn't play Brokeback Mountain?
Well, we did, but not on the golf course. Um, I did tell you I was hanging out with the Marine. So
Oh my God, Ronnie. That was right out of freaking left field,
that was
dude.
good. That was perfect
That was
timing.
good.
Camelback Mountain. No, no.
No, but
Humpback
I did
Mountain.
that. I did that and it just made me happy because I'm like, now it's very clear. Like you don't have to spend 400 and something dollars to have a wonderful golf course and a great experience. I just think Scottsdale, a lot of it's all about the time of year and the name and the company that owns the property. So, but anyways, that evening we ended up rushing all the way back to Tempe, and I got an opportunity, and this was the highlight of my entire trip. I got an opportunity to play the golf course that I learned how to play golf on and that I worked on, and it was a massive, massive part of my childhood. Huge. I mean, when I tell you I've spent countless hours at this place when I was younger, that'd be an understatement. But it's unfortunate because they're closing completely in April, and of course the course has gone to complete crap. It's like a kind of a iconic golf course in that area. It's been there for so long. And there's a whole many reasons why it's getting shut down. But I will tell you that was the highlight for me because it brought back so many memories.
Yep.
From the time I started playing golf until I joined the Army. And like to the point where like it was a little bit emotional for me at a couple of times when I was out there because I'd get on every hole and I'd be like, golly, I did this and I did this. And I remember this one time where we were doing this. And it was very cool. So I'm very glad we got to do that. We almost didn't get to. And then I got to play golf with my brother-in-law, who I haven't seen or talked to in years. And that was awesome. Really good time. So got back and let's see, Sunday night. Yesterday, I'll be honest with you, it was very hard for me to get in the groove of doing anything because I spent a week drinking beer every day and playing golf. And then I came home and it was like, I need to get out and shop. And I'm like, no. And I kind of just was lazy. Got some stuff done for YouTube and that was it. So
that was yesterday?
That was yesterday. And then today I went out there and started, cleaning up a bit because I got a lot of filming to do this week and some small things to start getting done on the built-in stuff. But yeah, we'll come back to one of the things that I did today because I think we can probably, at least I'll talk about it for a few minutes, but it was very liberating, but I'll save that. But yeah, that was it. Amazing time.
Cool.
Can't wait to do it again. And it will happen again.
So a quick question, that last golf course you played that you grew up on, did you see anybody you knew there?
No. They everything is like the overall shell of the place is the same. Like the pro shop's laid out different. Some young kid was working in there. I mean, we're talking, how many years ago that was? Almost, let's see, 25 years ago to 30, 25 to 30 years. I think I started playing when it was before high school. So I was probably 12.
Who's it owned by?
It's owned. Oh, this is actually interesting. So Rick and Jane Neuheisel are the owners, and they've always been the owners. And the Neuheisel's son is, I can't remember what his first name is, Scott Steve Neuheisel or something. Anyways, he was the coach for Washington Huskies football, and now he may have something to do with professional football now.
Oh, wow.
But yeah.
And the Neuheisels are just selling it.
Yeah, basically the reason they're selling it is they tried for years to sell it and get a independent person to buy it to keep it open, and all they got for like 10 years was stuff from agencies that wanted to take the land and build on it.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. And then that's, I guess, what happened. But they're trying to save the area, and there's all the people. Because when that course was built, all the houses around it were called the Shalimar Estates. And it was part of that whole golf course thing. And now all these people whose backyards face a golf course are now in the midst of having their backyards face other houses that are very, very different looking from what these ones look like. So everybody's real upset about it.
Imagine. Imagine.
God, it was a good time. It was a
Hmm.
good time.
I
But that's what
wonder
I've
if
been up to.
I wonder if you the Barrett Jackson auction was going on while you were out there. I wonder if
Hmm.
that hurt your golf availability and pricing while you were out there.
No, the pricing,
Oh,
no, definitely not. But availability, maybe a little bit, but we didn't have any problem booking because I mean, you can book courses for Arizona, especially that time of year
mhm.
from out of state, 60 to 90 days out. Because like it's the premier golf destination for the winter time.
Yeah,
Hmm.
That
yeah.
or that or Florida probably or the
Mhm.
two. San Diego area maybe, but in the US, like people are going there. And Scottsdale is like the bee's knees. We could go there on 15 different trips over the next 15 years and still never even come close to playing all the courses that are available. It's
Wow.
absurd. Like they're
Wow.
everywhere
Wow.
and it's only growing.
That's awesome. Hmm.
But before Ronnie tells what he's about to, one thing does scare me a little bit. You know what this trip showed me? That I want to be
What?
golfing every day. So I'm a little worried about the summertime.
Well, YouTube's slow in the summer.
It is, but yeah, it's not so much YouTube because like that's easy. I can, during the summertime, I'll almost certainly only do 2 videos a month, which I actually made transition back to that anyway. But um, I can spend a day or two filming those videos, and then
Hmm.
it's doing actual projects, like getting
Yep.
stuff done in the house, and
Yep.
you know what I mean. Like that's where I'm going to be like, well, I don't want to work on the you know basement today. It's a beautiful day. I want to go to the golf course.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah.
Said you just need to start playing golf. Then you and I would never get anything done.
Yeah, that goes to YouTube.
Yeah.
God, it's just like I want to do so much and it's just not enough time. I mean, I just added 3 Saturdays to my schedule this week over the course of the next month and a half. But it's good stuff. I'm gonna I'll talk about that as it comes up, but I just got a real great opportunity to go up to Notre Dame, so I'm pretty stoked.
Oh, cool.
Ronnie, Ronnie, what have you been up to?
Building a boat. I'm done.
Dash hole, dash hole.
Oh, you've been doing the boat a lot lately?
Yes, a
You're
lot.
back to
Tomorrow
that?
we're actually going on to I pre-scheduled because the weather is supposed to be close to 50 tomorrow. And
Yeah.
the pool house that we worked on a few months ago, they've added on. They want me to do a fixed screen panels on these like 5 foot openings, and I told them that I would do it when I could get to it. And tomorrow it just happens to be 50 and sunny, so I'm going to get to it tomorrow. Got to get it knocked out. So Cameron's going to and I are going to go do that. But other than that, I'm trying to keep as much space as possible for the boat. We're making some major quick progress on it. Today I bought 80 board feet of sapele today. Brought
Oh
it home
wow.
right when Cameron came home. Threw it in the driveway and started ripping it down into like 2.5 inch strips and put the planer out there. And it was nice outside and we just went to town out there and we got all of it cut for the whole floor. So
Oh
that's our
wow.
plan is to put the floor in on Thursday. On
Oh
Thursday because I'm
boy,
so
those
tired of seeing the frame.
those
What's that?
cables, all that cabling, man, that's a
Oh,
lot of work.
it is. It's a learning curve too.
Yeah.
It's expensive mistakes when you mess up too and get the wrong thing.
Yeah, I
My,
saw that.
yeah, I
You
understand.
got the 17 foot and you needed the
Yes.
15.
And that's
We
where it comes down to like the guy at the marina store, even though he's like been there for 30 years, for example, like salesman who you can tell he's always been there. He's got like the best desk in the place. And it came down to it, and it was like 15 something is what the math came out as. He's like, we got 17 foot. And we both were like, well, we might as well get 17. I don't want to be too short. And the guy was like, yeah, I would do the same thing. You're not doing that. I mean, it's like you can bend it up and down, but there's only a certain place
oh, I
where
saw.
you can only do so much. And so it's
Right.
like it just wasn't worth it. 15 will be perfect. So we ordered the other one and I'll just figure out on the other thing, but that should be coming in. Then we'll have the steering, throttle, and the shifting cables all done.
Yeah.
And then after that, I had said many times on the podcast that we were going to get all the electrical done before we started the top. That's probably not going to happen now because we were looking Once we get those cables that I just talked about routed up high and we get it closed in, we can easily get to the underside all the way around, especially when the floor is in. It's not bad at all, especially with having Cameron. So what we're going to do is get the whole board through all the frames before we cover the top, the
Mm-hmm.
1.5 inch hole, because is what would be hard to do after you put the upper side on. So we're going to get the holes done and then start skinning the top pretty soon after we get the floor in.
Wow.
I'm really excited about the floor. I've got an idea for the hatches that open, for the storage inside. I
Yeah.
want to do I don't know the correct word for it, but it's like the waffle pattern where you have the half and half and you put them on top of each other. They fit into each other and it creates
Lap
squares.
joint?
Yeah, it's like the all lap joints,
Yeah.
upper and lower with so it ends up being like a 1/2 inch hole, like a square hole between each one of them with like a frame around it. That's what I
Yeah.
want the doors to be. So I'm gonna try to make those on Thursday, plus the floor, put it down so that we can finish our video and put it out this weekend. That'll be our video. Is we got the steering cable in, which we haven't yet, and doing the floor. That would be a nice complete video for that one.
I can't wait.
I'm just need to get a buffer.
Hey,
We don't have a
Ronnie,
buffer right now.
Ronnie, I'm
We're
telling
putting
you,
these videos out almost real time,
I
which is
know.
not good.
I know, but it pushes you, doesn't it?
It does. It does. But yeah, I really I want to try to get a buffer in this, but that'll be a nice complete video. So that's our goal. But we might, instead of getting that out Friday night or Saturday morning, it might not be till Sunday morning that we can get it out. But
Hey,
that's,
thanks for sending me that email of that letter you got.
oh, thanks for bringing that up.
That
was crazy.
is touching.
That was crazy. I haven't talked to the guy. I actually thought I would send him and ask him if I could share, and I just won't share the complete details. I didn't get to ask the person, but the short version of it is he sent me this email and it was long, and I sent it to Sedge because I know Sedge is a reader, and I'm not. And I was like, Sedge will be able to read this. If I was able to read it, he'll be able to read it too.
And I used to camp on Lake Winnipesaukee.
Oh, and also you were from up in that area, so I knew that you would probably appreciate it even more because of the landmarks. Well, the guy sent me a message and he told me that his dad in the 50s, his mom thought he was working on kitchen cabinets and she was excited because he was in the basement working on something. And she found out that he was actually decided to start building a boat in the basement with no way to get it out. So he worked on this boat similar to ours. He actually sent pictures of it. It was similar to the one we were building. And he said that one time when they got it finished, finally, one of his friends was doing the driveway and it said accidentally ran into the side of the basement wall and knocked a hole through the foundation. Accidentally.
He took the bulkhead off while he was snow plowing.
He said coincidentally the boat fit perfectly outside of the hole. And then it goes on. And I was like, it was already a cool story. But then he went on to say that his dad, not only did they all learn how to ski on this boat, and they like growing up, this boat was like a very important part of their lives. He had a friend that owned land that he said, you need to put a marina in. And the guy was like, I don't know. He talked him into doing it. And he said, now it's one of the largest marinas on, where was it? In
Lake Winnipesaukee. And it's true.
He said it's one of the largest marinas, and it was all because his dad started building a boat in the basement.
In the basement.
And it was the coolest story. I mean, when I first got it, I looked at the email and I was like, oh gosh, this is long. I'm not that much of a reader, but I got into it and started reading it. And I sent it to Sedge. They're like, you got to read this.
And he included pictures. They were great.
There's a picture of the kids in there. There's a picture of the boat, and it's really neat. And he said the boat, they still have it in the family. They still have it. And this is a boat he built 70 years ago. This would be 75 years ago. That's really neat.
So what's cool about it is the video that you're doing with Cam has brought back so many memories for this family. It's really, you are touching a lot of people.
I'm getting a lot of comments about people saying that they remember either their dad or their grandfather building a boat. They kind of have blurry memories of it. And this is bringing them back, and they're remembering that because they've seen somebody before working on one. I have seen that a lot. And then I also have a group of people that are actually building, and they're like, thank you so much for posting, because I didn't understand how this part was done. And I was right there too. I didn't understand either. There's just not a lot out there about how to do these things. So I'm glad that some people have it as a resource. And that's why I know this will be evergreen content, because anytime somebody wants to build anything similar, they're going to be able to watch this and pick up on what took me many, many different methods of figuring it out, from
Hmm.
all the books that I had to read to the what I could find on YouTube and what I could. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, this I don't read, and I've got all of these books. I have every book that you can get on small, and they are boring. Like, I mean, you're reading a paragraph, it's like aft to deck, beam, transom, left, right, bow. Like, you're like, what does that word even mean? I don't even
Hey,
know. Transverse to bow, you're sitting there, you don't even know what you're reading. It's crazy. You got to
hey,
break it down.
hey, hey, it was really cool. You did the mock-up of the bench seat, and I saw you cut it out on the CNC. That was cool, dude.
Yeah, I did. I just to make it kind of quicker, definitely
But it was
did.
cool. Mock-ups are everything.
They are, and I am
Yeah,
going to attempt to make the half flap door. Those I'm gonna make those on the CNC because it would
yeah,
just save so much time. I'm gonna talk about how you can do it with the dado stack and do it like a box joint on the table saw. That's an option,
yeah.
but if I can pull this off, it'll save me so much time. I'm just gonna
Cool.
have it do just the part about going down and doing the plowing, half inch thick by half inch. Just doing that part, 1 inch by half inch deep, doing that. It'll save a lot of time. So I've got this week is kind of crazy. I've got it jam packed, and tomorrow I'll be on a job site all day. So I don't even know how I'm going to get it all done. But my goal is to get a video out this weekend, like I have
Yeah,
been. So it'll be Sunday at the latest. You don't have
yeah.
to stay up all night.
We had a heat wave here in Indy. It was 37 today.
Really? See, it was almost
It's
50 today.
45 down here.
Was it really?
Mhm.
We
Yeah, it
it's
was.
supposed to get in the 40s, I think, tomorrow up
Yeah,
here.
tomorrow is supposed to be 49 here. So I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna get some things done in the morning. Then when Cameron gets out of school, we're gonna head over there. It'll be like the warmest time of the day.
Good.
Doing two panels will only take me like maybe 3 hours and
Cool.
get that knocked out. And then after that, it's all boat the rest of the week.
That's awesome. I
So
can't
it's
wait for the
good.
next video.
I feel like a total jerk because I haven't seen a single one of your videos about it.
You're getting behind. I think you're.
I didn't know you had a YouTube channel until just now.
That's awesome, man. It's good. It's good. It's really good stuff because you see what really goes into boat building.
Yeah, and the first two are I'm playing catch up. So it's a lot of voiceover where I'm just basically trying to get to where I should have already been. And the format is migrating over to now my goal is to do very little voiceover at all. And it makes it so much easier when we're editing. And it makes it better because it's real time what's going on, I think.
And the funny thing is all of a sudden you're watching it, you're concentrating on either Cam or Ronnie, then all of a sudden you see a little tail in the background wag or something. Tom is in so many
It's
shots. It's
amazing.
awesome.
And you know what's crazy? It just shows you how you don't notice what goes on. When you think you know what's going on, you don't. Like what you don't notice. And I know you all both know this. I mean, Jason, you know this. You when you're editing, you look and you're like, I didn't even know that happened or whatever. I didn't realize that the cat is like in almost every shot. I always think he's like just gone.
It's
He's
just funny.
always around. And I
Oh,
never
look at
didn't
you
even
trying to
notice.
copy KJ Sawdust.
No, no. You can tell he's in the outskirts of a shot. He's like sitting way out in the distance, but he's always in the shot. And I did
It-
not know
it's
it.
it's
Like,
funny because all of a sudden you just see it's okay. So Ronnie's center, and then all of a sudden on the back bench you see a little tail waggle,
yeah.
but it's behind Ronnie, and the cat's behind Ronnie, but the tail is just sticking out behind him or
There
Cam. It's the funniest
it
damn thing.
did you
That
notice the
cat is
one where
such
there's
a cool shop cat.
did you notice the window? There's a window where it looks like I have a tail coming out of my. I was like,
Yes.
"What is that?" And it was like the
Yeah.
cat. The tail was behind me doing this,
Yes.
and I was like, "Oh gosh, what? I didn't even know he was in that shot."
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny. Yeah, a lot of people. There's been a good amount of comments. People saying, "I love Tom's. Show me more Tom and stuff." And I was like, "That was not the goal to show more of the cat. If the cat's in the shot, it's because he wanted to be. It's not because we're putting him in there."
Meow.
Yeah,
You
Ronnie, do
hate
you
it. Ronnie, you hate that. I know
I
you do.
do. I hate
Yeah.
that.
Ronnie,
What'd
do
you
you want to
say?
know the real reason why I have not watched any of your videos?
Why? Because you're going to build a boat.
Because I'm worried it's going to make me want to build a boat. It's the
I
last thing I need to do
understand.
right now.
I understand. It probably would. I could see that because you love boats too. You had
It's
one.
in- it's
Yeah.
inspiring. It really
Yeah.
is inspiring.
It's
I would just
fine.
like to make a little tiny one that like Leo and I could sit in, and I would just
Yes.
take him out onto the pond at our
Yes.
house and just putz around in it.
Yeah, there's the
Yeah.
stitch method. What's it called? Stitching where you use the copper wire. What's that called? Glue and stitch method or
Oh, I
whatever.
forget what it's
There's
called, but
there's
it's
some you
stitching.
can there's some
Stitching.
you can build like in a weekend.
Yep.
Like there's Chesapeake Light
Go buy
Craft is one of the
kits. Yeah,
companies.
buy some
Yeah,
kits.
Chesapeake Light Craft sells a kit that's already cut out, like CNC cut out, and they make some. I just skipped that step, but it would be a good one because you can even learn about fiberglassing and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's some really cool projects to do. But I've learned a lot, and I've had to switch. Mahogany all of a sudden for some reason is hard to get. No one can get it. The African mahogany and the other one, but they can get sapele. So I've switched from the frames. The floor is going to be sapele because that's all that I can get right now. And
Wow.
then I think I was going to do sapele anyway on the bow, and I'm going to do edge grain. So I was going to switch anyway. So it's not really that big of a deal. It's just more. It just costs more. But and I picked up a bunch of walnut today. Um, Picked up 80 board feet of walnut
For what?
um, for a kitchen island,
Nice.
and it's going to have a sink on one part, and it's going to step up and be another section like the bar side with a
Mm.
slight arch on it. I have that one. I told them I would do that, get it installed by the end of the month. And I'm looking at February right now. When I say end of the month, I mean in February. February, there's not a lot of time in February. It's a short month as it is, and there's just so much going on. So
I get.
so I went and picked the material up today so I can start working on it on the side and not be overwhelmed. Because mainly
Yeah.
it's in all basics, it's a glue up, and then I'm gonna do
Mm-hmm.
Rubio. It's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
similar to the boardroom table that I built. It's just gonna be a little bit more cutting, and I have to template for the sink, have to template for that at the
Yeah.
house. Come back, I want to have it pre-cut so it goes in just completely done.
Yep.
Undermount sink. So that one's coming up as well. So I had a rather hefty bill today at the picking up the walnut and the sapele the at Etna. Picked it up there. It used to be
Cool.
hardwood supply. Now they've been bought
Hmm.
out.
Huh.
So that was a big
Aetna,
day.
Aetna bought out your hardwood supply place?
Hmm. Yep. They bought it. It was locally owned. They bought it out. So they're part of that family now. Some of the things I've noticed that's good about it is the staffing is better now. They have
Mm.
more forklifts. They have more technology. They've got the scanner now. Before it was all hand done. So I've seen some pluses from it being bought out for sure.
Mm.
But that's a big thing. And what I see is I got to act like a what's it called, like a material logistics person, because if not, we can be completely done, like stopped on the boat. I've got to always be looking ahead, like sometimes 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time. I've got to
Mm-hmm.
order the things we're going to be working on, or we get stuck. We get stopped completely. And I went last week to get the mahogany, and the guy's like, "Come back next Monday, which is this week." He's like, "Check." He goes, "We don't know when we're going to get it in again." So I bought all they had last time, and he's like, "We don't know." He goes, "It's really hard to get right now." So that's why I switched. But the floor should
Mm.
look really nice.
Mhm.
Wow. That's cool.
Should look really nice. And then next week, I'm thinking will be the seats, because the seats are built in and they have a slow arch to them that the top will wrap around, and the top of the bow detail will wrap around to the back of the seats with the same
Mm-hmm.
arch.
Mm-hmm.
So the seats have to be built before we can start the top.
Mm-hmm.
And they couldn't do that until we put the floor in. So we talk about that a lot in the last video. It's all this chicken before the egg thing that you constantly have to think, what do I have to do first so I can do this? And there's a lot of that going on.
It was interesting because you got when you were talking about the boat plan, after you flipped it, there wasn't much guidance after that, was
There's
there?
not, there really isn't. It has some general like concepts of, like,
Mm-hmm.
they have a front and rear seat, like a very simplified seat. Like the seat detail they have is a sideways, like 1x6 with the back. Think about Adirondack chair, like that,
Yeah.
like bolted on the side at the base with like slats going across it. That's what they show for and I guess back in the 50s and 60s, that was normal for this type of boat,
Yeah.
because if you look at Chris Crafts, they just run on the inside of the frame, like on each side. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's called the gun wall. Is that what that's called? On each side, I
Yeah.
think.
Yep.
They just run vertical planks with screws into them all the way down the side. And I was
Yeah.
showing Cameron, I watched a boat show video on YouTube not long ago, and it was all boats from the 50s. Chris Craft's, like, really, that was one of the best ones you could get in the day. That's what they did. But nowadays, that's not considered that luxury, that nice.
Hmm.
But that's the way it was done back then. So we're going to kind of incorporate that a little bit, but still leave some space for like drink holders and things where cell phones can go in, like charger, that
Yep.
kind of thing. We've got to account for that kind of thing. That's life's more complicated than it used to be.
Oh yeah.
People just get in a boat, and I don't even think people didn't even drink water or cans or anything. They just got in a boat, and there was just a little side thing where they just put something in there. I don't know if it's our wallet or whatever, but now there's so much more things you have to account for. So we hope for it to be the seats next week.
Cool.
February should be productive, and then March starts being the challenge on how we keep fitting it in as the season starts changing.
Hmm.
Because you'll get so much busier.
Oh yeah.
Yes, so much busier, and then also there's just other things that will start coming up, but we have every intention to get this thing in this season when it warms up, have it done sometime during the summer, and I
Yeah,
think we
and then
will.
yeah, man, uh, Cam's graduating this year, isn't he?
Yes, yes. So I kind of want all that kind of
Wow.
come into play, the right time. But
You gonna let him
it's
borrow the Corvette?
for prom. For prom, yes. For prom, I guess since he did last year, I guess he want to
Yeah.
this year. But yeah, and the boat will be pretty much his. I don't expect to be using it that much. I think it's going to be probably something that he uses. So it's going to be it'll be a fun project to document the whole thing, but it's a ton of work, as you know.
Well, I mean, all the boats I built were pretty easy.
Oh my
It's
God.
but you know how when you do something like even if you built like a kitchen island or anything like that, you're always like, if I build another one, this is what I would do. I have a list a mile long of things that I know how to make it so much easier if I was to build
Mm.
another one. So much easier. So I just don't see how I won't build another one. I really don't. Because Cameron does it too. He's like, Dad, if we did this again, we would do that. And I said, exactly. And I think we could cut our time down up to the point we're on right now. We could cut it in half, without a doubt. We
No,
cut it
you
in half.
gotta cut all your frames and all your forms and everything on the CNC.
Yes. Yeah, I think I would. I would take the time to do that, which it would add to the time, but as long as you were doing it not in the shop time, it wouldn't matter. But speaking of that, I did get a message from somebody on a forum, the boat building forum for the plans for this. They're not tied to the podcast in any way. And the guy said he's 4 hours away. He's like, "Hey, I want to come to your shop and cut my frames. I'm gonna build a boat. I want to cut all my frames on your CNC." And I'm, I'm like, told Kelly, I said, I don't even have time to explain to the guy how he doesn't understand what he's saying right now. Like he's talking about frames that are not digitized that you'd have to digitize.
Oh my
It
God.
was for this boat, it was faster for me to do it the way we did it than to use the CNC. And a lot of people don't understand that. It's not a 3D printer. You know, you have to pretty much completely make them digitally,
Yeah.
and then you have to tool path them, and then you have to have a hold down method for them. You would be doing a custom hold down for each frame that you're only going to make one of. And I shortly, like in a quick way, explained to the guy that's not. So then he responds back to me, this guy on YouTube, which I watch all the time. His name's Dan Lee Boat Building, and he's a graphic designer. He designs boats. He took the time for YouTube to document how he's making all the frames on CNC.
Hmm.
But the amount of work that goes into that, he created like looks like an MFT top for the CNC, and he designed the top so it will hold with dowels the frames so they could be 3D molded. And there's so
Yeah.
much that goes into it. It's crazy. Like it's faster for us. It'd be faster to make it than to try to do it that way.
Well, it'd
So,
be great if he did the same boat again multiple
That's
times.
That's
yes.
what I told the guy. I said, if you're going to
Yeah.
do a one off, it's not worth it. If you were going to mass produce the boat, yes. You know, that's,
So it's funny because since I had been watching your boat building, that guy Dan Lee has come in on my feed.
yeah, he's in the UK and he's building a boat called the Temptress, and it's beautiful. It's more of like what the second boat I'd want to build, like a 25 footer, 26 foot,
Yeah.
and like an inboard barrel back style boat. And he's making it completely on the CNC. But it took him 3 weeks to make the frames on the CNC to give you an idea. And it didn't take us that long to make the frames, cutting them, the way we did it. But
Hmm.
they're perfect. Like he didn't have to do anything once he got it. but it's just interesting. I don't know. It's been a while since I had that thing, a comment of somebody saying, "Oh, CNC, just put it on there, do it." People don't understand how much goes into that material hold
Oh,
down and all that kind of stuff. Where sometimes it's just not worth it, to
no.
do that. It's like you might as well
Especially
just
if it's a
make it.
one-off.
Yeah, and each frame is a one off. There's no
Yeah.
duplication of parts.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been up to. Learning a
Cool.
lot, and we're trying to get everything done. We're finally thawing out. Snow's finally melting.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Thank God.
I think most of it'll be
Yes.
gone after this weekend.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like 50 something on Friday and rainy.
Yeah,
Nice.
I'm
So,
okay with that.
something that I did today, and I want to, Sedge, I kind of know because I've been in your shop multiple times, but I hate scrap wood. I especially
Ooh.
hate scrap plywood.
Ooh.
And so this kitchen project that I'm doing, when I ripped all those pieces down, I mean, I have the equivalent to like I bought 13 sheets, and I have the equivalent of leftover material that would probably equal 3 to 4 full sheets,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just because I focus more on grain orientation for what I'm building than I do like what's the best way to not have as much waste, right? I want it to look right when you look at it.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah. That's why
be,
you have to do it.
right, because of that I have multiple pieces that are anywhere from, 14 to 18 inches wide, which is great. I'll just save them for upper cabinets. But as I was going through all that stuff, I was like, I need to get this stuff more organized in the corner because the shop is just turning into a disaster. And then I look down and I see all these small little pieces of like Baltic birch that I kept and these scrap offcuts that have like drilled holes in them or staples in them that I'm like, I'm going to keep this in case I do this. I decluttered all of that stuff. And then I like threw it up on my slider and I just started like cutting everything down into tiny pieces and getting rid of it. Why why do we feel the need to keeping everything knowing that we never use it?
You know, it's so funny you say that. I have a 6 foot, the steel baker's rack kind of strong shelf that you can
Mm-hmm.
get with the wire shelves. I have it over here in my corner, and I have it for the purpose of high quality scraps that are like 4 feet or less. I was thinking the other day, I'm not sure I remember the last time we pulled
Yeah, I
anything off
know.
those 4 shelves, but I hate to throw it. It's like walnut, maple, yellow, and purple wood. And it's like, I don't want to throw it away.
It's because, but the thing is when it's kind of like screws. If you save screws and you have like a handful of screws, but every time I need the right screw or bolt, it's not the right one. I have to go to
Right. And
somewhere to
buy.
pick it up, right? It's the same thing with scrap, especially in the hardwoods. I'll keep it because I turn stuff, but I don't turn often. But what happens is it builds up. So, oh yeah, look, I got some cherry over there, but I only have 2 pieces and I need 10 pieces.
Yeah.
Right. So I go and buy enough cherry and then I have leftover from that and it goes back up. Sometimes you just don't pull it. So I decluttered quite a bit of my plywood scrap about a month ago. And I saved all my story sticks from the miter saw build. Guess what? I tossed them. I'm not going to use them again. But I don't know why we're compelled to save.
Hmm.
Like I'll save a block of wood, small, and I've had some black palm from Florida for a long time, and I finally used it, but I used it 23, 24 years. I had moved it around, but I finally used it for a couple tool handles and a couple of barbecue burners or whatever. Um, but I'm thinking more and more these days as I save stuff, I'm like, I've been tossing more and more of the scrap. Right when
Yeah.
you think and every weekend now I look in a corner, I go, oh, I got to declutter that. And then after everything is said and done, I in the shop or around the house, what I have to do, I'll go and grab a couple beers in the shop and I'll declutter that corner. Guess what? I did that to two or three corners of areas. They're freaking cluttered again.
Hmm.
Happens
It drives
fast.
me crazy. And I give away a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
You know? I don't why do we do that?
With I don't know, I guess with hardwood it makes sense. But like for me, hardwood specific, right? The only time, literally the only time I go and grab these pieces that are, we'll just say 12 to 24 inches long, that are these small strips that I 2 inches wide, 3/4 inch thick. You know what the only time I use those things are? Cutting boards. You know,
Yep.
the only reason I make cutting boards is because I want to get rid of scrap. So
You're
it's
exactly
almost,
right.
it almost creates an inconvenience for me because I'm like, I need to do this. And now I'm just done with it. But plywood is my bigger issue now because, I mean, being realistic, the majority of the things that I've built for the last couple of years have all been plywood related, whether it's the built in cabinetry or whatever, right? So I have all of this extra stuff just laying around. And I'm like, and then I think, well, I even said it today. I was doing stories about this and I even said it today. Like I got this piece of Baltic birch. Well, this is probably a good piece, you know, really good for like making jigs and stuff. What jigs am I making? None. I have a sliding table saw. Unless I'm making a jig for a YouTube video, that's the only reason I've been keeping this stuff because I'm like, maybe I should just start doing, you know, videos on how to make jigs, right? Make plans for them because these are things that are helpful for people. But
Hmm.
especially now that I have a sliding table saw, what jigs am I making? I don't need any jigs.
I have a shelf kind of like Sedge has in Festool, the like the closet one where you put sheet goods. I have one of those. It's about 5 or 6 feet wide up in my upper section of the shop, and then I have another one that's 4 feet tall, and that's for short plywood cutoffs. And what that's worked well for me because it almost goes in like a bookshelf. And when it's full, I have to go, okay, why is this full? What can I take out? But I can kind of put it there and park it there. And I do use plywood type scraps pretty often. Like I'll find things to use them for, and I'll go through and what do I have? But it's the short wood hardwood ones like you're talking about because all I can come up with is like I'll tell Cameron to make some cutting boards, but like you said, that's creating work for us. We're not trying to make cutting boards. Why am I
Right.
saving it to make cutting boards with? It hit me. It's funny you say that because it hit me the other day. I was like, that's where I would like my router table to be. And I've got a shelf there that's what 4 feet wide that's holding things that I don't even use,
Mm-hmm.
taking up my workspace. It's like, how stupid is that? You know, it's like
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense at all. But and when I have a new project, same as you all, I want to go out and buy all the material new. It's not like I'm going to go look for like, oh, I can use this for that. Because usually it's dusty and you don't want to use wood that's dusty.
Or, or maybe you only have maybe
It
you only have
doesn't match.
Yeah.
exactly. You
Yeah,
only
the
have two or
grain's
three
not going to
pieces,
match.
and
Yeah.
then you go get another wood, and the tone is completely
It's going to
different.
look
So
Yes.
totally different. Yes.
it's the
So it's
same thing
like,
with plywood.
it is the same
Yes.
thing. It is the same thing. Plywood's going to look totally different. The veneers are going to look different.
Yeah,
Totally
you'll
different.
get one batch that you had
So
from 7 months ago, and the new batch looks
it's
very
just
different.
it's funny you said this because when I say scrap plywood, I did this. I go, oh, I got this piece here. I don't want to throw it away. But you know what? When I make toe kicks, I need those 100 millimeter tall pieces. So I ripped a bunch down at 100 millimeter. I stacked them up. I kept freaking tripping on them. And I
Yeah.
thought, when am I building my next goddamn toe kick?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
guess what? When I did the toe kicks for the miter saw thing, I didn't have a long piece. So I had to rip them and I had plenty of short pieces left over to make the toe kicks. So I took all that scrap I had already pre-ripped. I threw it in a dumpster at work. I said, "The hell with this! I'm trying not to keep stuff that I know I won't use again." And you know what I often reflect back on is that podcast we had with Ben
Mhm.
when Ben said, "Hey, horizontal surface, it's a clutter
Yep.
place." He
Yep.
goes, and it kind of got me when he said, "If I don't use it in a year, I get rid. Within a year, I get rid of it."
Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
think
that
that's
was
smart.
tools and everything. And I was like, "Wow."
You know what? I also look at it that we all have limited space. And it's like everything, like that piece of walnut I'm looking at right now on my shelf up there that I've been saving, like a 3 foot piece of walnut. That that walnut is charging me rent in my space every month. I'm paying rent. It's taking up space. It's like, is it worth it for me to store that? How many, like if it's stored for 2 years, it's taking up my space and you times all those up, I'm losing, I'm losing valuable space in my shop for what that has cost me. It's like, it doesn't matter what it's worth. I'm losing because I've lost that space that I could be being productive and making money because I think I'm saving a few dollars keeping it. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't make any
Yes.
sense. And we just
And
stay in that loop. We stay in that loop.
and and you keep moving. For me, I move it around the shop,
And that
and I
time.
keep moving it. I keep moving it.
Yeah.
Then it
Yeah.
gets to the point where I'm tired of moving it.
And the more you move it, the longer it
I'm not
goes, the
using it.
more you accept that it just does, it needs to go. Like I hung on to a boardroom table cutoff walnut that was huge, like because they changed the size, like 4 by 6. And I held on to it forever, leaning up against walls and different things around different areas. And finally I thought, I don't like moving this anymore. I'm just going to get rid of it. And I was like, it's so stupid. I've been hanging on to it this long to go through the levels of acceptance that I just need to get rid of it. I have nothing I can do with it. You
Sedge,
know?
it's so funny that you mentioned you would keep the strips so you could have 100 millimeter tall for your toe kick or whatever. So I do the same thing with 1/2 inch Baltic birch material.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're
Drawer,
75 to 125 millimeters wide, I'll always keep them.
yep.
Why? Because
Drawer
when it comes
box.
time for drawer boxes, I'm going to do it. Well, here's the problem. And this is why we always have a never ending thing of scraps is that when that project comes, you inevitably don't have enough in your scraps that meet the requirements that you need. So what do you end up doing? Because you need more lumber for the project anyway, right? I need bottoms. Okay, so I need a bunch of sheets of 1/2 inch ply for the bottoms. Okay, so I go buy that. I cut all my bottoms. Then what do I have? Leftover material, which then is just used to. So like at this point, like when I cut stuff down, there's a big part of it, unless it's like a full 8 foot sheet or it's at least like 3 by 3, something that I can build some part of that cabinet, right? Like, so all of my miter saw station, when I build it, it's going to be lowers and uppers.
Mm-hmm.
So when I do that, I'm just going to use the pre-finish so I don't have to worry about finishing anything. And then I'll just skin it with something else and put white oak doors or whatever. I don't want to worry about it. So like those, I don't care what the grain direction is. They're shop
Mm-hmm.
cabinets.
Yep.
So I already know I'm going to use those, but all that other stuff, I'm like, why do I have this 19-inch piece of 3/4 inch Baltic birch, 7 of them, because they were 7 offcuts to the 7 things I built before? Like, it's so annoying. It's so annoying. And usually I will give it away. Like every 6 months or so, I'll be like, man, I got too much stuff, and I'll just start piling it. And then people come over, and sometimes like I either say you have to take all of it, or you need to take, it's not a pick and choose thing. But then if you find somebody to come get it, like when can they come? And now you have all this stuff sitting around. So I've literally gotten to the point now where I'm just like, screw this. I'm cross cutting all of it into smaller pieces. I'm throwing it in my dumpster. And when the trash guy comes on Monday, it's all going with him.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
small hardwood scraps. You know, I have that big Rubbermaid bucket. I got one for trash and one for scrap. So
Mhm.
all the hardwood scrap goes in there, and that's my fire pit in the summertime scrap.
Yeah. I've got a
Yeah.
fire going right now.
Do you
See
really?
it. I can see it outside.
Well,
Yeah.
another reason why plywood scraps are worthless because you don't burn that.
No.
You know what I mean? I mean, you could if you're not standing out by it, but I wouldn't burn it if I was sitting next to it. Yeah,
that's
I don't.
exactly-
I don't know. I'm over it. I'm not keeping that stuff anymore.
It's a smart move.
You
I
don't
think
miss it. Throw it
Yeah, you
away.
won't
You
miss
don't,
it.
and you won't miss it.
Yeah.
because you account for the material cost on the next project.
I'm-
It's not like
and-
you're gonna.
I'm doing that around the house too. Oh, I find an hour or two on a weekend or a night, and I'll just go open up a couple cabinets like behind me and start rifling through some stuff. I'm going, am I ever really going to use that? I send it to Goodwill.
I've been doing
know?
that with clothes.
Yep.
I'm struggling with the amount of t-shirts and like I like
Oh
them.
God.
Like the amount of free t-shirts and things.
Yep.
You can only have so many. It's
Marianne
like,
wants to disown me.
It's like, no, I like this one. No, I like this one. Okay, I like.
When I get t-shirts now, I put them in a junk drawer in my shop. Hats, swag bags, the dumb little trinket stuff that we get at the events. Which, if you're coming to SplinterCon and we do swag bags. They will not be stupid little trinkets.
Yeah.
But you know what I do with it? I put it in that drawer, and when people come by and visit me in the shop, every single time I will start going through stuff. I'll open up the drawer and be
Well,
like, "Hey, would you like one of these hats?" It's like, "Here's a 3M hat. Here's a Rubio hat. Here's a T-shirt. Do you like Festival? Here's a T." Like I just can't.
here's a
Kind of like you did to me for so many years, Sedge. When I would come over to your house, you'd be like, "Hey, you want some shirts?" And then I have 90
how many
shirts,
how many festival winter jackets did I give you that time?
a lot, and I gave some to Ben. I actually brought a bunch of stuff to Ryan at our last Green Suiters Con.
Oh, cool.
I brought him a bunch of shirts that I had had in the closet forever. Yeah, clutter. I guess I'm getting to a point now. It's so funny that we're having this discussion about clutter and not using things because the whole reason why I may have said this to you before, Sedge, how I hate the backdrop of my videos now
Mm-hmm.
because everything looks cluttered, nothing looks organized, and I don't like looking at it anymore. And I want to just clean everything up. Like my assembly table now, I want a new assembly table. I've actually started to go down the thought process of I might just get rid of that assembly table now, even though it's incredibly useful, and just put a large hand tool bench in there that will double as both. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Take up less space. I don't need 4 feet by 8 feet anymore. Is it nice to have sometimes? Sure. Do I need it? No. Absolutely not. The more I go in my shop and the more I'm like, oh God, I just want to organize all of this stuff and get all of this stuff behind doors. I don't want to look at it anymore. Same thing with plywood. I have one entire wall that is just dedicated to lumber. I've got all my hardwood vertically, then I've got the racks, which are just filled with stupid little tiny pieces of riffs on white oak that maybe I'll use someday on something. So dumb.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm really passionate about this. I was like so
Uh,
irritated today when I was doing that.
You get overwhelmed. You're like,
Yeah.
you just gotta take a deep breath and say, "Hey, man, that's a wood shop."
Here's the next thing. The piece that you do need that you have as a scrap, guess what? It is always in the back, or you forget you have it because you can't see it.
That's why I like the version of that Sedge has at his shop that I copied that, like a bookshelf with like sheet goods that you can look through it and nothing is ever stacked on top of each other. I do
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, the
Um,
vertical storage.
And for short cutoffs, I would like the idea of the roll around with the bins that go in. You stick them in so you can see the ends of them.
Yep.
They have the tiered where it's taller in the back and goes.
It'd be nice,
I
but
do
man,
like the
that's
idea of
such a
that.
big footprint.
It is, but I like the idea of that the best because when you put it on a shelf the way I have, I don't know what I have on there. It's like even when you start stacking it neat, it gets out of whack really quick and you don't know what's in the back. So I do like the idea of that, but I don't know. It's funny you say that because I was thinking I need to eliminate that shelf. I don't use anything on it. And that's such a big shelf, big footprint that it's taking up. It's
That's
just
what we
hard
need
to
to
throw
do.
that out.
We need to develop the ultimate scrap storage that doesn't take up too much space. The ultimate scrap wood solution. I can see it
folds
now on
into it.
YouTube. YouTube hit.
I'll tell you the ultimate solution. You just sell somebody a little lighter and little kindling.
And an axe to chop it.
You're like,
Yeah.
stack appropriately in a stack. Light the match. There.
You're
Took care of
done.
your scrap. Took care of your scrap storage. Clean ashes up and put them in trash can.
Go look at some of these old timey workshops. It's just cluttered and half of it's wood, and it's all scrap up against the wall or laid out on like horizontal. It's
Yeah.
just the
Well,
nature of wood shops. You got a
yep.
lot, and you try to. It's hard to declutter your lumber.
It is.
But
It
the
is,
first thing I
especially when
built,
it's pricey
the first
stuff.
thing I built in my shop is that vertical plywood storage.
I like that design. I think that design is
It works
super
great.
smart.
I've had
I
that.
had it in Fort
That's
Lauderdale.
for probably 7 years because I learned really quick when you're doing CNC, you go through a lot of sheet goods really fast.
Oh yeah.
And then lots of times you're cutting one and you're just cutting out a couple of cutouts and the rest of the plywood's great. So it's like you might as well save it because you can throw it back up on the CNC and cut something else out. So it's not, especially when you're doing like walnut veneer plywoods and things like that. Those are pricey pieces. So I do try to hang on to that. Sometimes I'll put it on sawhorses and I'll track saw it to cut it down to where the parts that are good. And I'll just save that and throw out all the rest of it. I don't get too crazy with it, but if I have big squares left, I save them. And I
So
usually can use them.
so here's a good one that it'll go back to something we talked about scrap. I got a 4x8 piece of cherry plywood that I brought up from Fort Lauderdale. It's over 20 years old.
That happens. Has it been
No,
exposed
no,
to
no.
light? Has it changed?
It's a 4x8. Why didn't I use it in my build? Because I've been building with cherry. Look, this whole place behind me is all cherry. That's 10 sheets of cherry. And then I just built the miters all cherry plywood. Why didn't I? Because it didn't match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
then
I
when you
went,
run it,
I went, and I didn't even consider that sheet of cherry because I wanted it to get the same tone, the same quality.
I've had
It's
walnut.
weird, huh? It's
I've had
weird.
walnut and
Yeah.
cherry sticking out of the stack, and it's a different color than the rest of the sheet because
Yes.
it was exposed to sun.
Yep.
So I have like a dark stripe on the part that was sticking out. It's like you can't it. You really got to be careful when you're storing things if you plan on using it again.
Yep.
But I save all of the cabinet ply left over, like the Baltic birch stuff, because that stuff you can't really mess up, and it's going to usually be painted anyway. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard on that expensive veneer type ply. They can get
Woo.
messed up real easy.
Sedge, I have a question for you.
Shoot.
Ronnie, I haven't seen your shop yet, even though we will here in a couple weeks. But Sedge, your shop basically, when you walk into it, it looks like mine in terms of lighting and color, right?
Mm-hmm.
The one major difference is that you have that MDF stuff on the floor, which does give a little bit of a warm tone to the space. So when I was up visiting Don um, at his place up in New York last month or month before,
Mm-hmm.
his shop is like super warm because it's got like the wood walls, wood tones everywhere. And after working in the last two shops, both shops had the same gray color walls, and they both had American green lights, and they both had the epoxy floor. I think if I was to build my next shop or like my forever shop or my long-term shop, I would almost certainly go back to a warm feeling.
Mm-hmm.
There is something about being in a shop that just is warm and feels like you're almost in a cabin. Like Eric Gorgeous's shop is like that. You walk in there, it smells like wood, it smells like pine. And I don't know, like I almost feel like my shop is too harsh. What I will say is it's perfect for filming. Like there would be some serious downsides to having a space like that wasn't very well lit if you're creating YouTube content, especially the kind of videos that I create, right? Now, if it was like I was trying to be all cinematic and stuff, then yeah, obviously the darker colors and the pointed light and all that stuff would make sense. But the more I go in spaces like that, the more I love them.
There's something about a hardwood floor laid out on sleepers in a wood shop. And I worked in a shop that had pine floors on sleepers. And you can run your electrical. You know what I mean by a sleeper, right?
It's elevated, right? So
It's elevated.
yeah.
Yeah. And you run them every 6 inches. Some people run them every foot, whatever. It is so daggone comfortable because it's that you don't notice it, but there's a little spring to it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's great for tooling because if it's pine or even hardwood, and I mean natural, not this pre-finished stuff, because you can just sand it on, when you want. Not finished, just natural. There's something to it. It's really comfortable. And I always wanted that. I always wanted to do tongue and groove pine inside a shop, just because it's that warm tone. And I've been in shops like that, and it's nice. But I have worked on a floor. I have worked on a floor that had the sleepers, and there was something to it. It's just, but Once again, the lighting. I mean that 1/8 inch MDF I have on there, that was the stuff I when we were building one of the warehouses they were throwing away at Festool, and I grabbed it because Ralph the super said just grab it, and that's what I laid down on the floor, and it just stayed there. And I just sanded it and resealed it, and it's held up really nice. But it has some give. If I drop some tooling on it, it has
Mhm.
some give instead of the concrete. I hate standing on concrete floors.
Yeah.
You know, it tears up your feet. It tears
I'm
up your
just
legs.
I'm starting to feel like it's like very harsh to be out in that space with super bright lights for so long.
But it's so clean, and
It
it's a
is. It
clean
is,
look.
and
I
it's
know it's
very everything is natural. Like you can tell regular tones and the color rendering is just amazing. So yeah, it does everything or they do everything they say it's going to do, but I don't know what it is. There's just something about when you go out, it just feels cold. Like everything, which is probably another one of the reasons why I'm so interested in building all this new cabinetry for the space so I can kind of get a little bit of that warm tone, right?
hmm I mean, Jennifer, my daughter walked in when she came up. She just walked out in the shop and she went, "Ah," because there's the smell of wood in the shop,
Mm-hmm.
when you're milling lumber or just cutting lumber. And when I was putting on the Rubio, Marianne loves the smell of,
Mm-hmm.
terps and stuff. And uh, it's like most people would complain. My family actually loves it because I guess I've been doing it my whole life. When I use turpentine, base, whatever it is, okay, but I still call it terp. You want to talk about a flood of memory? I feel like I'm in northern Maine and St. Agatha. I'm not going to get emotional, but in my grandfather's shop. And I have pictures of myself using hand planes in that shop. And I was 7. I feel like I'm 7 again. I There's something about the smell of turpentine. And it goes by a bunch of other names nowadays, whatever it is, but applying a finish that's a natural finish,
Yeah.
it brings me back to when I was a kid and my grandfather who taught me so much. So it's that's a warm feeling for me, Jason. As you get a warm feeling in Don's shop or wherever. Marianne loves it. She comes out. She's going, I love that smell. And I go, I've been cutting freaking MDF, honey.
Yeah.
But it's but what is it with me? I don't know. I love woodworking. I love doing it. I guess I've been doing it my whole life. In the early years, I didn't know. It's just something you did in Maine. You guys want to hear a really cool story?
Mm-hmm.
Do we have time? Couple minutes?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So this is tough for me. Okay. I got an email 2 weeks ago from somebody I have not seen in 44 years. And he found out about my Sedge Tool channel. He lives in Germany now. I grew up with him he lived in Auburn. I lived in Lewiston. He was 2 years older than me. Uh, I met him. It was a group of guys. We were all skaters. We skated together on a team. His name was Tim Warren, and he was my mentor. He was the one who turned me on to the music I love. He taught me. In other words, I had forgotten about all the woodworking him and I did because our woodworking was for necessity. We built a half pipe in my backyard. Okay, building skateboard ramps, building skates, skateboard tops with belt sanders and stuff like that. We had all the tool. My dad had the tools, but we built half pipes. And going back and forth in emails and discovering all of this, And guess what he uses a lot because he lives in Germany now. He's a Festool guy. He goes, I
Oh,
cannot believe it.
oh, that's awesome.
And he is just he's a genius. And over a few beers, I'll tell you about a lot of other stuff about families and his family and my family. And there's a lot of commonalities, is that that's a word. And he opened up with me and over the course of 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 emails and long emails. I also say it's the power of social media and YouTube. He found out about Mark passing away from our other friend, Matt Kennegees, the Geese, I used to call him. And he found out last March about me and Sedge Tool, and he finally reached out to me. And it meant a lot to me. I have not, for the last 2 weeks, thinking about time and how quick everything goes by.
Yeah.
About 44 years. Jason, Ronnie, I will show you pictures that my brother took of because my brother was a photographer, and it's they're pretty amazing. You're gonna see me when I was like 10 or 11 when I show you
They had
and how
cameras back
crazy.
then?
Yeah, they did. It's I didn't mean to get emotional or anything, but I am so glad I do what I do because it just seems in the last 2 or 3 years people have been finding it and reaching out, and it's not about all of this YouTube. It's about connecting with people,
Hmm.
right? And I just think it's so freaking cool. So,
Yeah.
hey, Tim, if you're listening, I don't know if you're going to start listening to the Three Splinters, but you meant so much to me growing up. And I'm so sorry we lost contact because you were my mentor and one of my best friends when I was that young. So I just think it's the coolest thing that people are finding each other, you know? What a
Yeah. Well,
small world.
as long as the people creating the content remember that that's why they got into it in the first place. I think that's one of the really crappy things about our space is that I think everybody kind of starts out with that in mind, and then everybody sees all the dollar signs and they very quickly become you know, this attitude of I'm better than everyone else, or I don't have time for you, or you're not on my level, or um, not so much doing it for the audience instead of doing it for the algorithm. You know what I mean? Which is sad. That's one thing I still try to stay
Yeah.
true to. Like, oh, I could release this video because it helps people, or no, screw that. I'm only going to release a video that has benefits for me in the long run. You know what I mean?
So same. Um, I I am it hit me like it hit both of us, Chris and I, both of us like a ton of bricks through the course of building the miter saw stand. We know what we like to do,
Yeah.
you know, teach people and go through the process of building stuff. And we're gonna do more builds because we like doing it. You
Hmm.
know, it's fun. And look what I got at the end. I got something for myself. We're gonna have stuff for Chris and M. You know, and Marianne's gonna get a new desk. I work with people and sponsors who I choose to work with. There's a lot of people that want to send me stuff or No, I don't want to because guess what? I won't use it. I only do it with stuff I like. And Jason, I'm glad you said that because a lot of people do get lost in that.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
It's a big part of it now.
Ronnie, I just love you and Cam having fun building that boat. That's what's so um inspiring. You've
Oh, thank
inspired so many people. That one guy who sent you that letter, damn,
you. Yeah,
that was awesome.
that was cool. I've gotten some books back, and I don't think there's any content I've ever created where people have sent me things like that. So it's kind of cool to see that.
Yeah, man.
Really neat.
You don't. You do not know who's watching,
Yes. Yeah.
you know? So it's funny.
Yeah.
We joked about it when I said, "Hey, I asked people to subscribe." Holy shit. There was a lot of subscribers on that. But I'm not doing it every one, and I'm not doing it at the beginning. But Chris goes this week, he goes, say something about subscribers. It's coming out in 2 weeks. He's so cute.
That's
Oh God,
awesome.
he's such a good guy. So thanks for letting me fumble and bumble through that. But I just wanted to say hey to Tim because
Hi, Tim.
yeah, fucking dude, all the memories that have flooded back for the last 2 weeks. It's crazy. So hey, when we get together for in a few weeks, I'll share some other stuff with you, and I'll bring some pictures so you can see them. You're gonna go, what? Said you had hair?
I've seen
You
pictures
know,
of you with hair. It's quite strange.
if I wouldn't have known if it wasn't for social media how many people got into woodworking because of bike and skateboard ramps.
Yeah.
It's extremely common. Extremely
Uh-huh.
common. And I would have never known that if like-minded people that were on, like they all talk about that would they were like my earliest memories was building ramps.
Yeah.
And that's when they kind of realized that they like building ramps. And
Yeah.
that's where it evolves from that.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah, it was funny. We did this. My dad he let us do it. The four of us, my brother Mark, me, Kenny Giza, and Warren, Timmy, and we laid it out radiuses with a string and everything, and we had 4 feet of vertical on each side. It was badass,
I mean,
and
that's
we called it. We Tim was quite the artist and cartoonist, so we made a big sign on the side and it was really cool with a piece of scrap ply. We called it the Congo Bongo. It was awesome.
the craziest part about it, you probably have no pictures of it. Just
None.
like that kind of thing. You didn't used to get picture like you wouldn't waste a developed picture shot on that.
Yeah. Now everybody takes pictures of their freaking meals.
I know. But all those things are just in your memories. No one's ever seen it. The treehouse I built, none of those things. There's not pictures of
Dude,
any of it.
you know how many
None of
tree
it.
houses we built? It was
Yeah.
crazy.
No pictures.
You know how many trees I fell from and ended up in the hospital?
That's
Just a
awesome.
couple.
Jesus. That's another story I can share with you guys sometime. Yeah. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks
Oh,
Ew.
when I was 10 and in the wheelchair for 3 months.
oh wow.
Yeah, I've never heard that story.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, guess it's that time.
Bad time.
Oh, wait. I wanted to look at something next week. Oh, announcement Beers with the Boys, 31st.
Yes.
The day
This
that this
Fri-
comes out, we're doing
Yes.
Beers with the Boys.
Yeah.
I would say that the link is going out, but you'll already get it before this. So, Beers with the Boys. I already put it
Man,
on.
can't wait to see everybody Friday night. It's gonna be awesome, man. 31st,
Yes. But what I wanted to ask.
7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
Oh, no, we're good for next Tuesday. Okay. I thought that we are going to have to adjust something. We will have to adjust something the week of the festival 100 year, as well as the week that we are going to be
Oh
going
no,
down.
I already have it stationed. We're gonna do a three splinters podcast live in a
course, yeah, I'm
remote
sure that'll go over
viewing
real well.
room with the new prototype tools.
There we go.
Oh, perfect. Yep.
Yeah.
Be sure to tune in, everyone.
Only
Yeah.
patrons will be able to view it.
Yeah. Only top tier.
Top tier.
Yeah.
Top, very top tier.
Yeah. All right, boys. I got to head
Bye-bye.
upstairs to my boys. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening to episode 170, technically episode 3 of the Three Splinters
Bye-bye.
podcast.
Bye
Dang it.
bye.
I let you have it last week. I guess I can let
No,
you
no,
have it.
no. Don't let me have it.
Why?
Bye bye.
Okay. You're not very good at this whole bye-bye thing.